Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So, why do the mass shootings point to me? Well, it has to do with the word foundation, right? The found alpha shun of the wordplay. Ward, P, lay, right? They're warding other patriarchal lines, right? The P meaning the D, right? One's penis, what have you. And the word penis rhymes with the word Venus, who is a Roman deity of erotic desire, the mother of Cupid, right? So, stupid Cupid. Now, let's go over another mass shooting. A mass shooting from 2007. So I'll try to do this with a certain formula. One mass shooting per video, and then I'll try to connect it all for you at the end here. So the mass shooting in 2007 that I'm talking about took place in Blacksburg, Virginia. Right? Keep in mind, there's a Senator Blackburn. Target. The word target is a pun for target, right? And a derogatory term for black people is tar, and the second word is baby. It's not a coincidence. Now, a lot of these people are said to have mental illness, and they try to play conspiracy theorists off as mentally ill, and some of them are. But I'm not. I deal only in the facts here. If you think anything's a stretch, put in the comments. I've been saying things like that for many years. They say, what's your viable counterargument on various platforms? No one ever has a viable counterargument. How can you go from thousands of videos with no one ever having a viable counterargument to saying that's crazy? Okay, a scientific person, someone who looks at this thing logically, someone with a rational mind would agree with me real fast. Not only would they agree with me, they would agree with me real fast. There's nothing to suggest that I'm crazy, but a lot of these shooters were severely mentally ill. So it was the Virginia Tech shooting, right? You got the Virgin and you have the IA or the AI again, Alpha I and artificial intelligence, which is what they're superimposing on Alpha I, right? They have intelligence agencies which are concerned with who's seen as smarter than who, and they try to use that to kind of control people, right? So who's the expert, right? When I was in college, they talked about 5 forms of power: knowledge power, legitimate power, reverent power, expert power, and coercive power. And these people are control freaks, and you kind of put it together from there. The shooter was named Sun Ho Cho, according to the annotations. Sun Ho Cho, and the annotations can be just as significant, the transcript, as the actual name. So you have the sun, right? That is very key in this video, right? They worship Yah, the moon deity. Look it up, right? In Egypt, La, aka Yah, aka Jah, and that has to do with gays wanting to have feminine characteristics, right? You have the sun as a masculine symbol and the moon is a feminine symbol in many cultures, especially in many occult cultures. Okay. So there were 32 dead, and that kind of stood out to me because Masonry, you have like 32 degrees and you have the 33rd degree and a 33rd and 1/3 degree, but oftentimes I think the Scottish Rite officially stops at 32 degrees, so that kind of stood out to me. So you have A, B, C, and C, B. Okay, BC, it goes back to before Christ and the religions before Christ. So there's connections like that there as well. Really quickly, as a bunch of child molester and lying people on duty added the clicking noise to this video. This mic is not supposed to have that clicking noise, and so it has something to do with the fumes in the air. Now, the Virginia Tech shooting is connected to the De Anza College bomb threat that occurred back when I was going to De Anza College, and it was somewhere around 2000 or so. The person who made the bomb threat or was involved in the bomb threat had developed some pictures at De Anza or something, and a classmate reported them, and their name was de Guzman. And I remember at the time, my father was saying that, him and I were agreeing on one thing, we're disagreeing on nothing. We were agreeing that his name was kind of something that stood out, right? He said something like, de Guzman is coming, right? Now, he also, at the time, and, a lot of mental health people would say that he's wrong, psychologists, psychiatrists. He would try to say that I had temporal seizures because I was doing bad in school, but I was smoking marijuana at the time, okay? And so over the years, I tried to explain to him what mistake he was making. Other people tried to explain to him, and they didn't want to hear it. And psychiatrists who kind of looked up to him agree with him, and there was people working with the state who wanted people to think that I was crazy because they were running a psychological operation. I mean, they still are. So he said he wanted to reach out to the Guzman family, and he thought that maybe they had temporal lobe seizures. Just like with my little cousins, every time something seemed out of the ordinary, he was like, they have temporal seizures. They have temporal seizures. It has something to do with them telling him what to do, targeting him to, what have you. So that occurred maybe 6 or so years before the Virginia Tech shooting, and it was also an Asian person. The person was probably Vietnamese or something. I don't remember their race, but I remember there was some kind of Asian person. I remember when I see them in the news, they reminded me, my memory of how I saw them in the news at the time reminds me of the Virginia Tech shooter. So real briefly, when I used to hang out with gang members, what have you, there was a big brawl at the Oak Ridge Mall, which is now called Westfield Shopping Center in San Jose, right? So De Anza College was in Cupertino, I believe, and Westfield Shopping Center is in San Jose, right? And basically, there was some Northern Hispanic gang members and me and some people who hang out with me. We were in a brawl with maybe about 8 Vietnamese people. Maybe there was like 12 or so of us. I don't remember the exact numbers. And it was something that, the Northerners knew more what it was about. And one of the persons from the Hispanic community had reached out to them. And so there was that brawl there. And in that brawl, I had injured my pinky knuckle, which remains injured to this day on my right hand. Now, they often do things like to say that I'm right. They hit the right part of the body, or say that I'm wrong. It'll be the left-hand side of the body. It's part of the game they're playing to confuse my brain, right? And they'll cause me to kind of lean toward the left one way or another. They'll time things, whatever you want, driving the car, and they'll say something, that is false, and the message is that it's actually true because that's the left, right? So they'll say, hey, we don't know you're right, and I'll lean to the left, and the message will be that they know that I'm right, and this is consistent. There's more than one reason I know it's not just in my head, right? The government workers have admitted that they do this to me. It's something that it lines up a certain way. This is a long story for another day. Then there was this female who there were several incidents with Asians, right? And again, they're not like my enemies or something. To clear that up, there was this female. My first girlfriend, Johnny, right? She was an Indian female. Her mother's a gynecologist. Her dad was the secretary that worked for her. And she had a friend, his name was Mike something or something, was a Hispanic guy, and he got into it with some Vietnamese people, probably Vietnamese Crips, and they shot him while he was waiting. They shot him dead, according to my older brother, while he was waiting in line for the club, and that she was right there, and I think my older brother said he went to the funeral and saw Johnny, because my older brother does what they say, like more than anyone else in my family, so this could all be made up, but that's what I was told, okay, and so that connects it to that. Now, again, we see in the news where they say that, that radical Islam has an unholy alliance with communists and Chinese and North Koreans and Venezuelan, whatever, right? So that's important to note how this connects to the next video I'm going to make, the San Bernardino shooting, okay, which, I went to reform school in San Bernardino. We'll get to that. So there's a lot of things that connected to this thing, to overkill, that is aimed at me first and foremost. Again, the wordplay, foundation, found alpha shun, consideration, consider alpha shun, right? Proclamation, right? Proclaim, Alpha Shun, Emancipation Proclamation, okay, plantation, examination, it's not a coincidence, right? Dictionary, Dick, Shun, Airy, right? Haro Airy, was often considered the oldest form of Horus, and Airy, the Igbo word for Horus, it connects to Haro Aries, right? Horus, the great one, Harware, Horus, whose right eye is the sun and left eye is the moon, and so on and so forth.